It is still your Power Station Energy 100 with EconoChat. Let's talk business with Mr. Daniel Steinman. So you ended it very well before we went on a break with the term liberal. Some people may probably not, agree with what you're saying, but I do agree with what you're saying compared to the history that you just gave us in 2016 and the end of 2017 October. Did you think that we would survive? Did you have hope?
I have many friends in commercial banking, and I can tell you that the top management in all four of the big banks, they were at wit's end. They did not know what to do, because now you must remember, you're a bank, you're a fairly big bank. It means that all the money that you need to pay for international transactions, it has to flow through your accounts at some point. So you are directly involved in the economy or in the trade part of the economy, and specifically in the international trade. And if you start looking at what we consume, in other words, more on the consumer side, what we import, if you put all of that together, it's massive amounts, And if you let me illustrate it by using the diamond and the millipap example. We export relatively small amounts of diamonds. I mean, you can really hold it in your hands, but they are very, very valuable. Large amounts of money. You need huge foreign reserves to pay for those transactions. Then what we eat, our millipap every day, it's a low value commodity, but we all need it every day. So there are 2.5 million people who need their millipap every day. So if you put all of it together and you consider the fact that most of it, 80% or 79% of it is imported from South Africa, then you can see that although this is a low value commodity, when you put all of it together, you still need a lot of money to pay for it.
Definitely.
And if you don't pay for it, at some point the people that supply us with those basic consumer items, they will stop supplying us. So you get the idea that it's very important that you have this savings on the side
all the time.
Yes, and that is your foreign reserves, and that it should be adequate to cover for your imports at least 2 or 3 months in advance. So where are we now?
The big question.
At the end of July 2023, Namibia had approximately 54 billion Namibia dollar in foreign reserves, in a number of arrangements in terms of accounts, what I've explained in the first part of our conversation. If you, in a very rough comparison, if you take that we are basically at a 200 billion GDP, so an economy that generates annually, every year, the value of about 200 billion Namibia dollar, and our foreign reserves are 54, then you can see it's roughly 25%. 200 divided by 25 or by 54 gives you, give or take, gives you 4, and meaning 1/4, and 1/4 is 25%. That is it's a very healthy position. We have import cover for about 5 months, or slightly more than 5 months. It means that we are very safe in terms of being able to pay for the big mineral transactions, being able to pay for diamond exports and diamond imports, and being able to, on the daily living side, being able to pay for what we need to live, but also on the industrial side. We can have as many plans as we want for factories and for local beneficiation and growing the industrial base of the economy. you need very specialized and very expensive equipment to be able to run those factories, or those machineries, or those plants. If you can't pay for them, you can't import them. If you can't import them, all this talk about beneficiation is nonsense. You need those very expensive things to be able to extract the value of the minerals that we mine. So you can see that it is a very big responsibility to ensure that you always put something aside. Even if you borrow, you have to see this in context, Elsabe. Everybody carries on about the debt, government debt. Growing. It's going to be 75% of GDP. Those comparisons are mostly academic or theoretical. The important thing, you can have as much debt as you want, or you can have as much savings as you want. But if you do not have the ability to finance your trade, then it means that you are isolating yourself. So international trade is what it's all about. And being in a position where your foreign reserves, very broadly, very roughly, is about 25% of your GDP, at least in African terms, it's a very good position. But you also have to be realistic. Countries like Japan, Korea, Mexico, Turkey, Brazil, they are not nearly in the same position. But the economies are much bigger than what we are. So there's a certain vulnerability in our small size. And one has to reckon with that. It's very easy to say, that we can always get funding from the IMF when we are in trouble, or should I say, when we were in trouble. But the thing is, because of our size, we think it's so easy to get funding, especially if our foreign reserves are low, like they were in 2017. But because of our size, which is so small, it's also very easy to ignore us. That's the other side of the coin. So what it boils down to is that responsibility to ensure that there's sufficient liquidity available to us to cover for our participation in the international economy. And those are just fancy words or very clever way of saying importing, exporting. International trade. That responsibility is ours. And you can see from the figures I've given that we have come a long way from where we were in 2017 to where we are right now. So our foreign reserves are good, they're solid, we are able to service our international debt, the Eurobonds and the obligations that we have in South Africa on the JSE. And if you look at the foreign reserve plan to keep them growing, the strategy, it means that I think we got so scared in 2017, we never ever want to be in the same position. We don't want to go knock on the door of the IMF. And we've got a very good strategy in terms of foreign reserves. And you see it, our foreign reserves literally grow by the month.
What?
Yes. Not a lot.
That's a good thing.
1 billion, 1.2 billion, but they keep growing by the month.
That's good news.
That is good news.
That is good news. And Mr. Daniel Steinman is also saying that our government is actually not that bad, people. We're doing okay.
Our economy is actually in a relatively good shape despite the recession, despite COVID.
Despite everything.
Yeah. There are many African countries that are far worse off than what we are.
Okay, so let's keep it on that good note that Namibia is doing okay.
Yes.
All right. So until we meet again next time, Mr. Daniel Steinman, thank you so much for coming through once again. And also to our listeners, thank you for keeping it locked to the Power Station Energy 100. From me, Elsabe Tibinyani, I say goodbye to you till next time.